all the big calls on all the big races. You know that's time to be welcomed back for another What a Shout. Dave Orton, somewhere in the capital on a Thursday, about to go through all the big races this weekend with a stellar panel. Don't forget, this is a like, subscribe, comment and share. You just thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Get them in below. Let's hear from you out there. Anything on Twitter, which is where all those clips go, hashtag What a Shout. We're all out there. Loads coming up for you, of course. We like to get our adverts in here. Royal Ascot on the horizon. If you want to become a member, this is how. There's that offer then, massive. Let's see what we're going to get offered to us from Paul Kealy, who comes back on the show. Keel's got the golf tan, the salmon shirt on. Life is good, man.
Yeah, life's good. The golf's actually terrible.
Well, isn't it always, Keels?
No, it's just getting worse. The older you get, worse you get. Lose distance, lose your touch.
So you can't hit the fairway, but are you hitting the back of the net?
Yes, lately, yes. I've been doing all right. Yes, had a good win on Saturday, a good anti-post win on Saturday, and then another win on Sunday. So yeah, hopefully. Going well. All
right, okay, let's try not to take the shine off Keels. Robbie joins us back.
All right, Dave, how you doing?
On What a Shout. Good,
yeah,
mate.
I think it's 6th week in a row, isn't it?
Oh, there we are.
I have to start to get some other punters on.
Well, I don't know. You're doing well, Rob. And of course, one eye on Royal Ascot now. You don't like the look of this weekend, do you? Let's get that out of the way.
It's pretty grim, isn't it? I think we're all looking forward to getting out of the way, to be honest.
It's not as grim as last weekend, Keels, is it? That was grim.
You know, I mean, for me, racing's only as grim as you make it when you've had a couple of bets, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? And it wasn't, you know, I actually thought the racing was terrible last week, but it turned out being not so grim. So, yeah, I don't mind, like, you know what I mean? So, this is a little bit better, but obviously, when you're in the run-up to Royal Ascot, you are not going to get superstars running on a Saturday before Royal Ascot, are you? So,
well, yeah, absolutely. Certainly not for Royal Ascot, that's for sure. All right, here's what's coming up. We've got a powerhouse guest for you. Who's hotter than Charlie Johnston this month so far? Answer is very few people. He joins us from North Yorkshire for a great interview there. We'll get the word on Subjectivist and others for next week as well. 5 big race previews coming your way before those all-important naps. Right then, as promised, shall we pop up to North Yorkshire for a What a Shout debutant? And it's not like he hasn't been coveted to come on this show. Let me tell you, Charlie Johnston joins us. Charlie, welcome along.
Thanks for having me. Good to be on.
I'll tell you what, now viewers, may I recommend you do this as we go through a plethora of runners that Charlie has got, not just this weekend, but also, of course, at Royal Ascot next week. One in particular you're all salivating to hear about. Go on to the Racing Post app or the Racing Post website. Biggest compliment I can give you, Charlie, is that you're among the top 5 trainers. Easy search, easy find.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal June so far. I think we've had 22 winners in the first 14 days of the month. And yeah, if there's ever a time of year that you want to hit form, it's the week before Royal Ascot. So long may that continue.
Yes, we've been keeping a very beady eye, of course. Took over the reins this year. I would say belatedly. I think we've all been expecting it to happen for some time, Charlie. I've been racing for God knows how long. And you always seem to have been, either side of your dad, basically. Mark's still very much in the background, I'm assuming?
He is, yeah. He's still very firmly involved. Has an opportunity to take a bit more time off now than he would have done in the past, but still here on a regular basis. And he's certainly not sailed off into the sunset just yet. He's making sure we're keeping the standards where they've been for the last 30 years.
Yeah, I don't think the BHA are off the hook yet, mate, are they?
I know. Keep them honest for a few more years to come yet.
Absolutely, and everyone here at the Racing Post as well. But Charlie, it's been a really good run, hasn't it? We've been keeping an eye, as you said, on your strike rates. It has shot up in June, isn't it? And it's been great to see Joe come back and doing so well also.
Yeah, he's been in phenomenal form. You wouldn't have thought it's possible at the ripe old age of 52 to ride better than ever, but I think he is. And yeah, I think the weather and the ground is probably a factor. Our horses tend to love fast ground, so it was a bit of a frustration through April that it was soft ground for 6 weeks basically. But now things have dried up. The horses are in good order, and long may that continue.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So as the next owner rings Charlie up, we'll try and get these questions in shall we, before he's got to bat them off for you out there. Let's hone in on Sandown, if you don't mind. Again, a track we associate with the stable doing so well at. And we start off with Loyal Touch in the opening race. This is a 3-mile handicap where often goes to progressive sort. He made his comeback in what I'm expecting to be a pretty red-hot London Gold Cup. I think the winner, second and third all look really, probably group horses in the making. Might see that at Royal Ascot next week. The handicapper has kept him on the same mark. Frankie rode him that day. You've got William on here.
Yeah, I thought historically it's always one of the hottest handicaps of the year, probably the hottest 3-year-old handicap outside of Ascot itself. So I don't think, and it was a strange race this year in that 100 yards out was about 10 horses in line, wasn't there? So albeit his finishing position isn't that encouraging, he was only beaten 4 or 5 lengths. So, and he actually was in front at the furlong marker. We're coming back to 1 mile and 1. Hopefully that sort of intermediate trip that you don't get very often might be right up your street. And as you say, William on, so he's got lots in his favour.
I remember being with him when he won at Carlisle and he thought, right, they've got one here for sure. So I think you're drawn in 9, aren't you? So you'll be looking to get over quickly. Is he primed and ready to win then?
Yeah, as I say, I thought he ran well on his comeback at Newbury. He'll step forward for that run. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back up in trip in due course. But stiff 1 mile and 1 there should suit. And there's a couple of likely race horses in there that I think the Christopher horse would probably stand out as a possible danger, and Baldings that won in Goodwood last time. But he must have a live chance.
Charlie doing my job for me and, of course, pointing out form dangers along the way. We'll be previewing that race along with others a little bit later on. Let's go to the 2:15 then, if you don't mind, and much more exposed horse. Great to see him come back to form at what was a 1-2 for you. Was it Derby Day or Oaks Day? I can't. Was it Oaks Day?
Oaks Day, yeah, that's the one, the Friday.
It's Dutch Decoy, of course, who's having his 51st start. He'd come back down to near his winning mark. Everyone loves this horse. He's never been to Sandown, though.
There aren't many tracks he hasn't been to, that's for sure. From Ayr to Goodwood and every corner of the country in between. He is the perfect syndicate horse, isn't he? He runs week in, week out. He's already taken them to the Craven, to the Guineas, to the Derby. He was in the Hunt Cup, but not quite high enough to get in there. So we've come here instead. And I think obviously everything probably from high 90s plus will be going to Ascot, so this is probably a nice spot for him. And as you say, he ran right up to the very best at Epsom a couple of weeks ago.
They're your 2 big TV runners on Saturday. I see, you, of course, you've got runners at Chester, 2-year-old, there's some handicappers. I noticed the draw hasn't been so kind there. Should we read anything into the fact that Joe's going to Bath?
I think that's a very polite way of putting the draws have been kind to us.
Listen, I know how to blow smoke, mate. I won't put you off coming on this show again.
Yeah, 11 and 12 in a 12-runner 60 grand handicap. There was, the laptop nearly went across the office when I saw that. So, I think all of our runners at Chester have really been put on the back foot. And no, Joe's just at Bath because I could see the way the weekend was shaping up that we wouldn't have runners at York, and Franny was obviously going to cover Chester for us. So I thought his best chances of keeping this title charge up were at Bath, and he's riding Gone there, who's on a 3-timer, and she should have a favourites chance.
Yeah, absolutely. She's on the hat trick there. All right, okay, there's some Saturday runners for you. Without further ado, let's hone in while we've got Charlie to Royal Ascot next week. Obviously, of course, the stables had bundles of success there, but you're looking to get off the mark outright as a trainer, I guess. You've got Politico in the Coventry at the first. He'll be a big price, despite the fact he's totally unexposed. And you've got one of my favourite stayers, and everyone else is the Max We Can potentially going as well, who, of course, won on his... That was Showgirl Cup Day. We cheered that home in this studio. I think we all tipped him on the live show that we do. Absolute warrior, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an absolute star, Max. I think this must be his 4th or 5th appearance at the Royal Meeting. He's been there every year since he was a 3-year-old, which is a phenomenal achievement in itself. He's just caught a little bit between a rock and a hard place now, in that his best trip is 2 miles. And obviously at Ascot, he either has to go 1 mile and 6 in the Copper Horse or 2.5 in the Ascot Stakes. We're going to go for the 2.5 and hope that if there's any jockey in the weighing room that can coax the extra ounce of stamina out of him that we need, it's Jamie Spencer. So hopefully he'll be on board.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, look, he's always got a legion of fans because he turns up at all the big festivals, gives his heart out, and we always get at least a bit of profit back each year from him. Let's look at some of your more high-profile runners then. I'll tell you what, you've had runners in all bar the Oaks so far, classic-wise, domestically. And I was thinking that Dance in the Grass might take her chance at Epsom. Does she go in the Ribblesdale on Thursday?
I'm afraid to say that the Dance in the Grass on the Wednesday before the Oaks suffered an injury, which was why she wasn't there. That had been firmly the plan off the back of a really promising run in the Guineas, and that run in the Guineas is going to be her last. She's been retired, so real blow that, because I thought, as I say, Ribblesdale's Oaks, when she stepped up to middle distances, I thought she would be a top class filly, and leaves a bit of a hole in that division in terms of group class middle distance fillies. We're actually going to run Ferrari Queen in the Ribblesdale for the same owner, Jabra Abdullah. She was third in the Lingfield Oaks trial. Would need to improve, but hopefully can run into a place.
Well, you've got Cracovia in there as well, who does a bit of sort of jet setting, doesn't she, that one? Oh, that's sad news. She was a whopping eye catcher in that, and I looked at her pedigree and I thought, right, when we get her over a mile 4, okay, all right, so a bit of a blow there. Dubai Mile, let's talk about him. Now, pedigree-wise, you've got him in all the big mile 4 races, big eye catcher again, when he ran a solid race in the Guineas. How is he after the Epsom run? Now, to my eyes, Charlie, he looked a bit of a non-stayer there.
I'm not sure is the honest answer. The debate is still out on where his best trip is going to be this year. Knowing the horse, and particularly what he did at 2, thinking back to that 1.25 mile Group 1 win in bottomless ground, I've always thought he's an absolute certainty to stay 1.5 miles. I was even thinking he could be a ledger horse at the end of the year. I just wonder if perhaps the ground is becoming a factor. Obviously, that win, as I say, last year was on very soft ground. It was quick ground at Epsom. And he just didn't seem to have the pace to hold his pitch down the hill round Tatman Corner. So, not sure where he's going to go yet. That decision hasn't been made. The King Edward is still in the picture, as is the Grand Prix de Paris, and he's also in the German Derby. So, he could go one of quite a few places, and that'll be firmed up at the weekend.
A lot of people like this horse, Charlie, because he'll always be a price. Because we'll have Aidan, we'll have Gosden, we'll have Stout, I don't know, whoever else. There'll always be slightly shorter, or Godolphin. And yet we all know, because of that French run with the rest, that he's got a biggie in him. So look, we wish you well with him. Hopefully we'll see him next week. If not, German Derby, that sounds interesting. And you're right, he does look like he should stretch out, doesn't he? So perhaps we'll put a line through Epsom. Let's talk about the Great White Hope then for next week. It is Subjectivist, of course, who has a Gold Cup crown to his name. We didn't see him, of course, for a long time. I must admit, a lot of us here at the Racing Post thought that we probably wouldn't see him again. He's come back in Maidan, and that last run, where he got beaten by Broome, who I think will run a big race in the Ascot Gold Cup. He looks like he's going there for Aidan. Siskani came out recently and won at Belmont. The 4th has got some decent form as well. It's all there, isn't it?
To be honest, of all the horses, form and things like that, they don't really matter to me with this horse. I know that this horse, at his best, where he was 2 years ago, he was the best stayer in the world. And if he can be in that kind of form, the opposition is in many ways irrelevant. However daft that might sound. He had a career-ending injury, and it's been a very long and painful journey trying to get him back. And even as I sit here now, a week away from the race, I'm still not counting my chickens until we get there. It's a tough battle that we're facing with this injury, and it's maybe ambitious to think that we will get him back to the level he was at 2 years ago. But as you say, that Maidan run showed that a lot of the ability and the fight is still there, and we're just looking forward to it, counting down the days trying to get him there.
What's the perfect scenario for him? Because of course we know that he doesn't mind a bit of cut, do we? And there is a while you never know with these forecasters. It looks like it's a bit unsettled next week. Again,
that's not something that would really concern me. When he had his Group 1 hat-trick, he won in France in an absolute bog, he won in Dubai, and he won in quick ground in Ascot. So, as I say, I think ground, opposition, all those factors are a long way lower down the pecking order than this horse being there, sound and in the best condition he can be. If we can get him there in that nick, then yeah, he's as I say, 2 years ago he was the best there in the world.
I'm crossing everything I've got for you, man, that this joke turns up. I'm sure everyone else is out there. If he gets there, the best price 10 to 1, it's going to crash. I'm sure Tom Siegel on our news desk is honing in on this as we speak. And it's great to hear you talking about this like this. Just celebrate the fact, I think, that he's back on track, don't we? Charlie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Mainly punters listen to this track, so I'll be cheeky and try and see where the next one is coming from to add to your excellent tune.
The next one, so we've got quite a day actually today. Obviously, Book of Tales is a very short price at Yarmouth coming up very shortly. And Friday, Saturday, we run a horse called Can Can in the Rain at Goodwood in the last tomorrow night. Made his stable debut at Yarmouth about 2 weeks ago. I think he'll have come forward for that, and I think he's a horse that will win races for us. So looking forward to him tomorrow night.
Already got him up on the app, haven't we, viewers? Charlie, absolutely superb stuff. Keep it going. Hopefully we'll see you back in this studio plenty. You're a great talker, man. Really enjoyed that.
Super. Thank you very much. Enjoy the weekend.
Right then, great interview there with Charlie Johnston. Very interesting word about subjective is there. That price could crash, couldn't it? I think we're all agreeing that on the panel, but we must move on because Sandown winners to find. The pursuit of them starts in the 2:15. Interesting mile handicap here. We spoke to Charlie about Dutch Decoy. He's been all over the gaff. This will be a first run at, of course, Sandown for him. Kills, do you like him? I mean, we've got Bodogan here. It's a 5 to 1 the field. Where should we be looking?
Yeah, I mean, the one I do like is Bodogan. Won a novice race at Newmarket last year very, very easily. Now, it wasn't much of a race, but he came back in that Silver Cup or whatever it's called.
Yes, Haydock. Silver Bowl.
Silver Bowl, that's it. Well, Bowl Cup.
Covey won it.
Covey won it. Covey won it well. I think Covey's a very good horse.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll find him among the entries for something at Royal Ascot, probably the Britannia. Yeah, I think he's just noted, running on. He was given, it was like a nice reintroduction to racing, I thought, and there's going to be a lot more to come from him. He's got stall 10, might be an issue, not 100% sure. But the other thing I looked at is if you backed every single horse that William Buick has ridden for Charlie Hill, should be winning bundles. Almost like a 20% profit blind.
Right.
You know what I mean? The strike rate is under 20%, so they're winning at prices as well. So, I liked him. I thought Autumn Festival would be a considerably shorter price if he hadn't run last time. But he put an absolute stinker in, but he has done that before. But, obviously he was very progressive last year. He won on good to firm ground at Sandown. I think he probably wants a bit of cut.
William rode him that day from memory, I think. I've got a feeling he did.
He might have done. But he's not on him.
Well, this is the thing.
Obviously. But he's joining stall 1 for a horse that likes to go forward. Is interesting.
I looked at the draw here, Kills, because if you remember, this is like the Vian's Serendipity handicap. He won it twice, and he always used to run it. They launched down the outside in this race now, and I think a wide draw is not perhaps what we should be afraid of. I like Bodogan. It screamed, didn't it? Look at the members club. What does Robbie like?
Yeah, it's a hat trick for Bodogan.
There we go.
Yeah, like Kills points out, good run in the Silver Cup on his return. He's actually quite weak in the betting that day as well, expecting to come forward. The whole winner was in a different league, but he wasn't far off the second there, and that's always a hot race. He gets £10 in weight for age as a 3-year-old as well. There's been no 3-year-olds winners in the last decade, but quite a few have placed, and not many have actually tried, so I wouldn't let that put me off. I think he's rock solid with Buick aboard, good record for Hills, as Kills says, so that completes the hat trick. A grim weekend just made considerably more colourful because we've all gone for one in the first race. Let's go to the 2:35 at York. Good York card. This always is the Macmillan race and sprint race with the feature. We'll be getting to that after this. Now, all right, we've all gone for the same horse here. Surely it won't be the case in the 2:35. This looks very, very difficult indeed. There's bundles of pace on the first 3 in the betting there. Could all be up there. Darkness, when's he going to win this chap? Chinned last time at Goodwood. People are on stretchers coming out of there following him. Limarty Dreams as well likely to be up there. Eligible seems to be a horse, Rob, that when the money comes for him, he delivers. But he only just prevailed there last time. Yeah, very much so. He's interesting. The horse I was looking at was Darkness again. Shout out to Sam Hart, producer. He's a big fan of that horse, I think. But he's just working his way back to form, isn't he? His second season with Oakmere now, he's obviously really good in these sort of races. He's come down the weights, but he's certainly shown this season that he's improving. Good seconds at Goodwood and Epsom. They're 7 furlongs on sort of downhill tracks, but he's got plenty of form over a mile and on stiffer tracks. So I think 7 at York's absolutely fine. Just think he's still on a pretty good mark, to be honest. And Oakmere is the man for these sort of races.
Just when you go off these horses, Kills, he campaigns them all through the summer, doesn't he? But yet he does keep them maintaining their form. And the moment you get off it, you know what happens.
Exactly. Well, this is it, and I've got a cliff horse of my own in here. So,
here we go.
Admiral D.
We'll get off it. Yeah, well, there you go.
It's the Admiral
D. Now, he's one of these that, I really thought he was going to turn into a good sprinter, and it hasn't happened for him, and I don't know why. I mean, he won on very soft ground in Ireland early in his career, and I always had him down as a soft ground horse, but I don't think he is anymore. When you look at it, his best form was actually on faster ground. But, he was second in a really, really good red-hot Heritage Handicap for 3-year-olds at Newmarket last year, beaten by Lethal Levo. He's one of the favourites for a Wokenham. I mean, Azure Blue was behind him. He was giving £8 to Lethal Levo, but it just hasn't happened, and he hasn't won since. But his first 2 runs this year, when he was 5th at Newmarket and then 7th at Newmarket, both times, 7th to 21, both times, it's like screaming out, I want 7 furlongs. But then, of course, next time he ran 7 furlongs, it was on bottomless ground at Ascot, which I just don't, I just think that was too much for him. So I'm giving him one last go. His, one of his best runs was also at York in a big handicap, 6 of 19, I think it was Harry 3. So I'm giving him one last throw of the dice, fast ground, 7 furlong at York should suit.
I wonder whether the other Fahey horse might be interesting, Indian Falcon. Cam Hardy takes the ride from stall 7. He was green as grass still last time. It might be that he wants a bit more juice underfoot, but he's unexposed and he hit the line last time. This is not a race where I'll be going heavy in at all, but Keels keeping with the cliff. Let's go back to Sandown then. Let's go up in grade, shall we? For the Scurry Stakes, burn up over the 5 furlongs. Often see some decent winners for the sprinting division going ahead in this. Who heads the market? Got to think Oshie Murphy will be fancying his chances. Yeah, great stake. He's a winning machine, isn't he? Tajala's there as well. Padika, interesting, went to France last time, got the job done, all the way down to Lakota Blue. Kills, let's come to you. How much is an issue? Is the draw, or is it not at all still over the 5 at Sandown?
I don't think it's as much of an issue as it used to be. But it's still probably an advantage to be drawn on the rail. But I wouldn't worry too much if you've got a fancy that's a bit high, because I don't think it's that bad. Having said that, Great State is drawn in 2. And I think ought to be a fair bit shorter than 9 to 4, to be honest, because he's just going the right way, and he won really, really well last time. You've got Tajala, who's second favourite. Now, the horse Tajala, only just mastered by a head, was absolutely thumped in the York race that Great State won. And he's only given Tajala £3. I think he's got an awful lot to do. Obviously, that unexposed, sexy, unbeaten profile makes a horse shorter than it should be. Padika won in listed company last time. Obviously, has a £5 penalty, has a big penalty for that. And I'm pretty sure wants a bit of dig in the ground as well. I mean, they quite often get away with it on an uphill track, but even so, I think everything is in Great State's favour, and he ought to be hard to beat.
Clive Cox is a trainer we associate with the 5 at Sandown, isn't he? And he's got the returning Katie Condon in here, Carl Burke, elite status. Last time we saw the 5 at Sandown, how impressive was he? He's got Yassart coming back under Danny Muscat. They're all quite interesting. Is this another Fav race, Rob?
I think so, mate, yeah. Tajala will have a lot of followers probably, because sort of sexy, unbeaten profile. I don't know about it. I don't really like horses whose sires retired at 2. In terms of them training on, I don't. Not a massive fan of that sort of angle. Apparently, he's quite a small horse as well. I mean, obviously he's only run twice, so he might be up to this level. But as Kills pointed out, Great State's York win, that's just by far the best form in the field, isn't it? He's rated 108. No one else is rated anywhere near that, really, apart from Perdika, who's got a penalty and don't particularly like her. Yeah, he's just improving so much. He's come out of the handicap ranks. Fast ground. The only worry is if he's in 2, he gets sort of like caught by the rail and blocked in, but it's worth taking the chance. The form book entitles seem to be more like 6 to 4.
2 races at Sandown, 2 unanimous tips. Are you going on Saturday?
No. It's all about Royal Ascot, so I'm going to...
Oh, powder dry.
I am going to take it very, very easy over the weekend. I'm giving up drinking on Friday. No, I'm going to be.
It's like we're back in March, Kills.
I'm going to have a game of golf Friday and have a few drinks afterwards, and then that would be it. There would be no alcohol passing my lips until.
Because if you were there, I was going to say they'll be stretching you out because you're tipping all the cards so far. 5 furlongs up to a mile 6 at York, and we're staying in some decent company for this race. Let's get them. It's a basically a road to the Ebor race again, isn't it? Let's go and have a look at the market. Who heads it? Okay, Isra, basically. We saw him at Newbury last time before that. Unfortunately, now retired Haskoi. Do the boys think that he... interesting Quickthorn, despite the fact we've not quite seen the best of him so far. Pressuring him for favouritism. These are all best available odds, of course, as we film. Roberto Escobar, seen under a really good front-running mile at Sandown last time. He's 4-1. He's been to York before, and I think at those prices, I'd probably give him another chance, Rob.
Roberto?
Yeah.
Do you not think he's better at 2 miles? Depends how hard they go here, I'd say. Because obviously you've got pace in there with Quickthorn as well. I mean, those two are 2 milers, aren't they? They're going to need to go hard to get Isra's rhythm. I think I'd just chance Isra just because I think he's the best horse in the race. He's not done 1 mile 6 before, but the way he ate up the ground at Doncaster on heavy suggests that's not going to be a problem. That race was running a very good time. Decent run beyond Haskoi, obviously now retired, but on his return at Newbury, I think he's the best horse. I think Quickthorn on his form about a year ago, I'd probably be putting up, but he's just let me down too many times since. I think that's the way to go.
A few people will be looking at Quickthorn now, Kills, won't they? Let's get an answer from you on that one. He hasn't. I mean, obviously, when he won the Yorkshire Cup that year, he went a mile clear under Tom Marquand, didn't he? Rise with Roberto Escobar. Now Tom will know maybe how to get him at it potentially. It could just set up for Israel.
It could do. I mean, he's got to prove he stays. I mean, the funny thing about Muharaz is they do tend to stay remarkably well for a horse who was a champion sprinter. But he's got to prove it. And, obviously quick form has the York form, and I think that York race was really good that he ran in last time, and I don't think he was remotely disgraced in it, albeit not up to the level that he showed last year. I think he's very much the one to beat. He's the one I'd back. I'd be laying Roberto Escobar for 2 and 3 places. He's got a big penalty to deal with. He got absolutely smashed off the board at Sandown because I think everybody knew he was going to get an easy lead in a small field, and that's what happens. He's not going to get that set up here. It's a shorter trip on very fast ground. I can't really have him. So I think
yin and yang on the show.
I think he will blow out, and if he's that sort of price, I'd have had him a good couple of points longer, to be honest.
Interesting. All right. Well, it's a tricky puzzle. Which way do you go? Let us know below. One more race coming your way, and we'll stay at York for another 6 furlong sprint. It's the Macmillan charity race. This is always a cracking handicap. This basically ran about, I don't know, was it about a decade, 15 years ago? Horses like your progressive 3-year-olds just couldn't get into the Royal Ascot race, could they, at the Wokenham? So they came here, didn't they, to have a look at Keels. And we often see some very, very good 3-year-old sprinters coming out of this. You've got the July meeting coming up. I know you were a fan of Washington Heights last time we ran. That's usually a key race. Have you found one for us?
Yeah, Washington Heights. I mean, they just, I can't think of a horse that's been more unlucky than Washington Heights. Not in the terms of in the run, but just in the horses he's come up against off the weight, because last year in a sales race at York it should have been a ring, just got chinned by should have been a ring well over 100 now. Next time out is Redcar, where he goes to the 2-year-old trophy. He gets beat by Cold Case and the Holguin. They were both 108, I think. He comes out second start this year. He blew out first start over 5 on soft ground. Second start was Shaquille, running off a mark of 94.
Commonwealth Cup
he's
bound.
What is he, 112 now, something like that. What I mean? And then last time he ran into Quinault, who was completing a 4-timer, and is favourite for this race, and probably still deserves to be, but he's going to be £5 better off. He's got Jamie Spencer. Like I said, his best race last year just about was at York. I've got to give him one more go.
Spencer's an interesting jockey, isn't he? Because again, we can pigeonhole Jamie, with that waiting ride. This is also just seemed to like to not be too far away, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, Jamie rode him behind Shaquille, and he was never that far away. So
right.
he's not totally a one-trick pony.
It's going to be an interesting race to watch. Of course, third in that race, Rob, was Our Eminency. I say Our Eminency because we've been following this chap.
I'll be leaving him alone now.
I've got to stick with him. It's not hard to see him finding 1 2 good. He seems to be also that they want to hold on to a bit. At Kempton, when he was, moral winner, hard to remember a more unlucky run this season than that in that race. And then he came out at Newmarket last time. I just thought it was a bit of a nothing run. I don't know really what the plan was, and Clive might be watching this. Clive Cott's in the team thinking, well, you don't know the horse and all that sort of stuff, but I will stick with him. I'll get in 6 places. He's drawn in the middle. Danny Tudhope takes over, which is very interesting. They often think this horse needs timing right, but he's got an electric turn of foot, and he's that Washington Heights form. He's a bigger price, he'll do for me.
Okay. I agree with Keels. I've got this down to 3. It's 22 runners. It's hard, isn't it?
Yep.
Washington Heights, totally agree. The horses, as he pointed out, real jump off the page, and they should have been a ring. Cold Case, Holguin, Shaquille. He's got a decent race in him, and he's run well at York in the past. The other is, I'll give another chance to Millstream off top weight. He didn't show a lot at Haydock behind Little Big Bear. He was actually drawn wide, but ended up racing down the middle of the track. First run back. Still got the Commonwealth Cup entry. He's obviously not going to run there now, but he ran quite well in the Acomb, was it, last year? The 7 furlong Group 3 behind Charlie. He didn't stay the 7 that day. That form's obviously worked out well. Indestructible. Win the Group 2 this year. He's off 98 in his handicap debut. I thought he was interesting. And I'll give another chance to Dark Kestrel. I put up a RP tip in a couple of weeks ago. He was 6 for 7 at Lingfield, backed in towards unbeaten quite far, but he just had an absolute nightmare run through. He missed the kick and then he was blocked in the run. He just finished full of running. John and Fady Gosden, bottom weight, Kieran Neilboard. He's only run 4 times. He's well bred as well. He is half brother to White Lavender, who's second in the Abbey last year. He runs off 79. He's been dropped £1 for that. I think he can go well. So if I was having a place spot, it'd be Dark Kestrel, Millstream, and Washington Heights.
We have filled the first 5 in the trickiest race of the weekend for you out there. It's a final race preview before the naps. Right then, nap time. But before we give you this weekend's treble from the panel, check out this free bets offer. Do take advantage of that. It's all out there for you. Loads of ways you can play the game. Nap time. Let's go down the panel then. Robbie
I
Wilders.
get to start, do I? 250 at Sandown. Great state. Favourite backers can collect.
All right, nice and succinct there from Robbie. Usually goes on forever. Are you going to do that or?
No, I'm just going to go for Washington Heights, bit of value. Hopefully he's found a race that hasn't got something that's extremely well in against him.
I thought you might have the temerity to put up Admiralty. You tend to do that sort of thing.
Well, I was half tempted, but I can't do that.
All right, no, but we're honing in. At 4 o'clock, when the TV cameras terrestrially are away from Sandown, there's a maiden called Dublin Lad that runs for the Gosden team. Frankie's on his well-bred. They think he goes really well at home. There's your treble. Well, sadly, that is all we've got time for on this weekend's What a Shout. What a pleasure it's been to have you. Stick with us, though, of course. It's the week of the year, flat fans, isn't it? And all the content coming your way from this very studio.
Royal Ascot is fast approaching, and here's what's coming your way from the Racing Post. What a Shout kicks things off on Monday the 19th of June with Dave Orton and some of the Racing Post top judges taking you through their best bets for Royal Ascot week. A double dose of the Racing Postcast with Tote Fantasy. That's right, Sam Hart kicks the week off looking at the opening 4 days alongside some of the Racing Post top tipsters, and Friday to give you those Saturday winners. Wake up every morning of the festival at 9 a.m. with Good Morning Royal Ascot. David Jennings, Paul Kealy and some of the Racing Post's top personalities will preview each and every day. In the Know returns to your screens, brought to you by Coral, with me, Ross Briley, Paul Kealy and Pricewise himself, Tom Siegel, live from 6:30pm every night. Previewing the next day's racing, finding those winners, angles and strong opinions. It's an action-packed week and it's not to be missed. Subscribe to the Racing Post YouTube channel so you don't miss a thing.
That's going to be fun, isn't it? Busy week, lads.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. It's it is the best flat meeting of the year by far.
Come on, give me one.
Perotto wins the Hunt Cup.
Love it. Rob?
Ocean Quest and the Commonwealth Cup.
Oh, you're getting an anti-post treble here. Highview Princess wins. I see you tip it earlier. I mean, she just wins, doesn't she? So versus the Raiders. Come on.
Tipped her up as well on Postman a month ago, yeah.
Did you?
Let's have it.
It's a 3-way going, the King's Stand. All right.
Should be even.
That's all to come our way then. Stick with us here in the studio. Watch What a Shout. Let us know what you thought of it this weekend. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us. Don't forget, safe gambling, that massive week coming up. Choose your targets well. For myself, Dave Orton, enjoy the sport.